Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with an update on the current situation in Spain. Day 198 of the current situation. And again today, unfortunately, it's still about the Madrid community and the central government and the fact that they can't get it together and work out exactly what needs to be done in order to get the health crisis under control in Spain's capital and biggest city. Firstly, a big thanks to all of the people that left comments on the last video. Lots of comments, lots of debate happening there as usual. Thanks to people that supported the channel by leaving a small donation. You can see your names here. Thanks to people that bought merchandise, and a big thanks to my patrons on Patreon for your support. Now, as I said, it's all about the inability of these two governments, Spain's central government and the government here in the Community of Madrid, to come to an agreement to work out what to do in order to get the COVID-19 situation under control in the capital city and the Madrid community. As we can see here, the battle between the health department and the Community of Madrid is dividing technicians on how to confine Madrid. The central government and the Community of Madrid are using conflicting scientific arguments to justify their positions. The health minister Illa advocates an immediate shutdown, while the team of Ms. Díaz Ayuso in Madrid insists on gradually increasing restrictions. Both positions have many drawbacks. So that's basically where we are at the moment. The Madrid community is using one set of scientific arguments and the health ministry is using another, and they don't agree, and that is where the problem is. The Madrid government is using an infection rate of 1,000 people per 100,000, and the health ministry wants to bring that figure down to 500 cases per 100,000, which would mean that they would basically have to shut down the whole city. And that's what the Madrid government is trying to avoid. We can see here that Ms. Ayuso is rejecting the confinement of the whole city because of the damage to the economy. And apparently now they are negotiating against the clock in order to try to stop the central government intervening in the city and area of Madrid. The regional leader of the Citizens Party has unblocked the dialogue with the Minister of Health. Because let's be honest, last week was a tense week between the Minister of Health and the Madrid community. We saw that earlier in the week, Pedro Sánchez met with the Madrid president and everything seemed rosy. They seemed to come to some type of an agreement, but by Thursday things started to deteriorate and we got mixed messaging. And that of course led to even more confusion. Now, as I mentioned before, the criteria that the central government wants to introduce is an incidence rate of 500 cases per 100,000 inhabitants over the last 14 days. And as I said, if that is the case, basically the whole city of Madrid would have to shut down. But if this is the criteria that they start to use in Madrid, lots of other places around the country would also have to go into some type of confinement or lockdown situation. We can see here the cities that exceed the incidence of coronavirus of 500 infections per 100,000 inhabitants in Spain. If the situation is studied by cities with more than 100,000 inhabitants, it can be seen that in Madrid there are 18 of these cities, including the capital, that exceed the new limits. In Castilla-La Mancha there are 3 cities, in Andalusia there are 2 cities, and the rest are distributed in the Balearic Islands, Murcia, Castilla, Leon and Navarra. Many of them already have specific restrictions, as is the case in Pamplona. So there we go. Although Madrid is the hotspot, there are other places around the country that exceed that 500 mark. And no doubt more cities will reach that number in coming weeks as the situation gets worse in the country. We can see here that Andalusia has also announced that it will make new decisions. The Junta de Andalucía will make new decisions starting this Monday in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic in the community and in some municipalities that are having a high incidence rate of the disease. Both the Technical Scientific Committee as well as the competent bodies of the Governing Council will meet today and tomorrow in order to adopt the new measures. So the Andalusian government joining other governments around the country saying that they are going to start to take new decisions on how to tackle COVID-19. Now, it has been said that one of the reasons we find ourselves in the situation that we are in is because the country opened up too early, trying to get tourists back into the country and giving everybody the impression that things were normal. But as we know, things didn't go according to plan and the tourist season was a disaster. However, the government has now turned its attention to next Easter with their Operation Semana Santa or Holy Week, and they're trying to avoid another collapse of the tourism industry and organise some more safe corridors. They're in the process of negotiating with the European Union and the United Kingdom the implementation of more effective measures to curb contagion and restore confidence in the sector. So the government already preparing for next year's tourist season and still going to try to convince people that this country is a safe destination, and again talking about these safe travel corridors. And I hope they're more successful than they have been up until now. But maybe the government should be more worried on the current situation, trying to get the health situation under control, less worried about what's going to happen next year at Easter time, and maybe if the health situation is under control, people will decide to come to the country. Now, of course, as we know, the race is still on to come up with the vaccine for COVID-19. Different countries around the world trying to develop that vaccine, different companies, different countries putting their efforts towards this. And Spain has put together a health committee that will decide who will be vaccinated first against COVID-19. The autonomous communities, scientific societies, the National Bioethics Committee, the Spanish Vaccination Association, and experts in mathematical models, public opinion, and sociology are participating in the group. Their mission? To decide which people will receive first the available immunizations. So we'll keep our eyes on who they decide to be the first people vaccinated. Now, as some parts of Spain struggle to get the coronavirus under control, it seems that people are still hell-bent on partying. We can see here that in Valencia, an illegal party in a pub brought together 50 people that weren't wearing masks. The National Police broke up an illegal party last Saturday night that was being held at a pub in Valencia, and in which 42 attendees had been sanctioned for breaching the regulations related to the coronavirus, and 5 other people, among them the person in charge of the premises, for possession of narcotic substances. So yet another story of an illegal party being broken up by police, and of course people not adhering to the new rules. And I mean, is it really that difficult to lay off the partying at least until the health situation gets under control? That's the question that I'm asking. Now, we all know that the economic fallout from the coronavirus in Spain is huge. Lots of people losing their jobs, lots of businesses closing down. But this article here really caught my attention. The managers of 5 Galician toll roads are demanding compensation for losing revenue during the pandemic. The concessionaire of the AP53 highway from Santiago to Dozón, and those of 4 of the 6 autonomous highways in which the Xunta pays a fee depending on the traffic that uses them, have claimed financial compensation from the central and Galician administrations for the decrease in the number of users registered during the state of alarm. So toll road operators complaining and seeking compensation from the government because no one was able to use their roads when they were locked in their houses for 3 months. And finally, a piece of news on the attempt by some members of the government to move Spain towards a republic. We can see here that the minister Alberto Garzón has accused the king of manoeuvring against the government and of breaching the constitution. The Minister of Consumer Affairs, Alberto Garzón, has called the position of the monarchy unsustainable, which he reproaches for failing to comply with the principle of neutrality established by the Constitution and manoeuvring against the democratically elected government. And needless to say, Mr. Garzón has been asked to resign by the Partido Popular. On that note, let's have a look at some of the comments from the last videos. One here from Don. Hello Stuart, appears you have many Canucks viewing your presentations. I live in the province of New Brunswick and our total virus count to date is 200. The winter forecast for Canada calls for record-breaking cold and snow. I have a property in the Ondon Valley just outside of Alicante. I'll depart from Canada to Spain on October the 5th and I'm on edge as to the virus status and travel in general. However, sunshine is much more appealing than blizzards, eh? I watch your presentations daily since I returned home in early March. Thank you so much for your continued efforts, Don. Yeah, Don, thanks for the comment. And you're right, there does seem to be a lot of people from Canada watching these videos, and I'm grateful for that. And I had no idea that the forecast for Canada this winter was record-breaking cold and snow. So therefore, Alicante seems like a good choice. To be honest, coming from Australia, I have no idea what the cold is like in Canada. I've only experienced cold in this country, Madrid, for example, which is not very cold. Maybe going to the mountains close by and experiencing cold weather there. But I have no idea what a Canadian winter looks like. I have no idea what a blizzard looks like. The last time it snowed in this part of the world was about 10 years ago. And to give you an idea, it took about 2 weeks for the snow and ice to melt on the footpaths. But good luck, and I hope everything goes well regarding your trip to Spain. One here from Patricia. Loved your video again today. We have just laughed so much about your comments on going commando. How you manage to keep a straight face, we don't know. Always watched Neighbours and used to enjoy it. I think it is still on as I came across it a while ago when switching channels. Look forward to your next video tomorrow. Keep safe. Yeah, Patricia, thanks for the comment. I did make that remark about going commando the other day, and you might have noticed that I say a lot of things with a straight face, but some people do pick up on the irony in my tone. And Neighbours, yeah, I think it is still going. I think it was on television the last time I went to Australia, so that must be about 30 years or even more, because I remember watching Neighbours as a teenager, and it's amazing that it continues to this day. One here from Mr. Dog. Hi Stuart, I predict they will start confining every town in Spain that has more than 500 cases per 100,000 inhabitants in the next weeks. And I fear this will not work as schools are open and people can travel around for work purposes anyway, so they won't remain in those lockdown areas. We are back to the situation of March, but instead of closing down shop immediately, as we didn't know the virus yet back then nor where it was, we continue to keep society open in a desperate attempt not to further damage the economy, but this will contribute to a huge rise in cases. When the ICUs and hospitals are about to collapse, which might happen as early as October, there will only be one way out, and that will be another total lockdown of the country. Yeah, Mr. Dog, thanks for your comments, and you're right, maybe that 500 mark will be the barometer that is used in coming weeks by the central government in order to force confinement on places. We saw that Madrid was sticking to their 1,000 mark, and of course the central government wants to bring it down to 500, which, as we know, will bring a lot more people into a confinement situation. Whether the whole country gets locked down again or not, I don't know. It has been said on numerous occasions by the Prime Minister, by the Health Minister, by various politicians that that won't happen again. They want to have some other type of plan, but as we have seen, the plans that they have put in place up until now haven't worked, so we don't know what's going to happen in the future. And to be honest, you can't trust anything that this current government says. One here from John Stewart. How can you possibly eat Vegemite? It's awful stuff, nearly as bad as Marmite. You're going to knock years off your life. Yeah, John, thanks for the comment. To be honest, my Vegemite use is limited nowadays. Maybe once a week, maybe even once a month. Sometimes I have Vegemite on my toast. Not every day. It's not like I did when I was a younger man. I used to have Vegemite on my toast every day for breakfast. But now I limit my Vegemite intake because of health reasons. Probably a lot of salt in Vegemite and therefore not good for my health. And if I do have Vegemite on my toast in the morning, it's normally a very thin spreading. One here from JD. As to the political systems, long live the direct democracy Swiss style. There is no better country to live and work and make money than Switzerland. The people of the world are just resistant to knowledge. They could just copy what works, but again, that would be too easy, right? Yeah, JD, thanks for the comment. Unfortunately, I don't think it's as easy as just copying a model. Perhaps Switzerland is the model to copy, but I can't see that it would be easy to implement here in Spain, primarily because the education of the people or the way people think in this country is probably different to the way people are educated and think in Switzerland. And that's one of the reasons why some countries work the way they do, and it's one of the reasons why other countries work the way that they do. So in theory, it seems easy, but probably difficult to implement. And here in Spain, you hear all the time the Northern European countries referenced as to how people live there, what people do, why their economies seem to work. But I get the impression that here in Spain, people are happy with the way things work and they want to leave things more or less the way they are. One here from Glee Smee. So, new normal means centralised government control and the end of the autonomous regions. Science or politics? Yeah, thanks for the comment. To be honest, I don't think anybody knows what the new normal means. I don't think they really thought those words through when they announced them a couple of months ago. We can see the shambolic situation that we are in at the moment in this new normal. Nobody knows if it's a new normal, whether it's the old normal, or whether it's a mix of the two. Unfortunately, Spain is pushing towards an autonomous community system. We saw that the central government stepped away before the summer and put the control back into the autonomous communities, and you can see the result of that. And it seems clear that in countries that can't get the coronavirus pandemic under control, that politics is more important than the science. One here from Brandon. Cheers, Stu. Congratulations on providing excellent content. Thank you for your efforts. Assuming that all this calms down in the not too distant future, I would love to buy you a caña someday in Madrid or Portugal? Yeah, Brandon, thanks for the comment and thanks for the offer. It would be great one day to be able to sit down and have a caña, not have to worry about wearing a mask, not have to worry about seating limitations in bars and restaurants, just be able to have an old-fashioned caña like we used to be able to do. But unfortunately, I don't know when that is going to be. But hey, if you're around next year and things start to calm down a little bit, definitely get in touch and we'll have a caña and maybe even some patatas bravas as well. On that note, I'll start to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the situation out as you normally do. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.